Hi, it's Richard from Racing Profits Guides and welcome to this guide to the St Leger Festival. This is day 3, Doncaster Cup day, the Friday at the festival, and we're going to have another look at the key races of the day. On the Friday, it's 3 group races that we've got to focus on, and as on the other days, what we'll do is we'll run through the key stats and trends for each of the races and help you narrow down the field. Now, as I say, on the Friday, on Doncaster Cup Day, we have 3 Group 2s to look at. We have the Flying Childers, which is a Group 2 for 2-year-olds, and that's a 5-furlong sprint. We then have the Doncaster Cup itself, which is another Group 2 for 3-year-olds and older. That's over a stamina sapping 2 miles, 2 furlongs, so a real stayers race is the Doncaster Cup. And then after that, we have the Mayhill Stakes, which is another Group 2 for 2-year-old fillies. That's over a mile. So we'll look at each of these 3 races in turn, analyse the trends and statistics for the last few years of the race, and also look at some of the winners to help you really narrow down the field to the main contenders in each of the race. So the first of those races is the opening race of the card on the Friday, and it's a 5-furlong Group 2 sprint for 2-year-olds called the Flying Childers. Now, it was actually named after a horse that was bred in Doncaster in the 1700s. Is a horse called Flying Childer. So we're here. Let's have a look at the trends for the last 10 years of that race. The first thing to bear in mind is the fitness of the horse. 10 out of the last 10 winners had run within the last 4 weeks, and 4 of those had won their last race out. The draw, 8 out of the last 10 winners of the Flying Childers were drawn in stall 7 or lower. Form, again, 7 out of the last 10 winners had won a listed or group class race, sprint race already. And favourites, 6 out of the 10 were favourites in the market. In fact, the favourite has won over the last 3 years. That's 2012, 2011 and 2010. So it's been dominated by the favourite over the last few years as this race. And jockeys, again, I'm afraid Frankie Dettori comes to the top here. He's won the race 3 times in the past 10 years. And trainers, Richard Hannon has also won the race 3 times over the past 10 years. So let's have a look through the last 10 years of Flying Childers winners. It was Sir Prancelot last year, 74 favourite, ridden by Johnny Murtagh for Richard Hannon. Then we have Requinto, 100 to 30 favourite, and Zebedee, 100 to 30 favourite in 2011 and 2010. Then Frankie rode for Godolphin, once on Sand Vixen. You can see here we've had Fleeting Spirit for Jeremy Nacida, and then Weedud, again, 2 years in a row, the favourite one. So you can see how the favourites have dominated right the way through the last 10 years. So that's what you need to consider when you're thinking about the Flying Childers tomorrow. We then move on to the Doncaster Cup. That's another Group 2 for 3-year-olds and over. And this is a 2-mile, 2-furlong race. It's the big race of day 3 of the Friday, and it's the world's oldest flat race, having been first held in 1766, and it was over 4 miles then. But it's slowly come back in distance, and now, as I say, it's over the 2-mile, 2-furlong trip. It's been won by some very decent stayers over the years, including a horse called Double Trigger, who was trained by Mark Johnson, and he won this race 3 times in 1995, 96 and 98. And he went off a short price favourite in 97, but could only manage to finish 4th on that occasion. So here's the trends to think about based on the last 12 years' results in the Doncaster Cup. The first thing is pretty obvious, really. A horse who's going to win this race needs to have some solid staying form. 11 out of the past 12 winners had already won over 1 mile 6 or further in their careers. The draw, 9 out of the past 12 winners were drawn in stall 4 or higher. Now, again, you'd think on a race of this length that the draw wouldn't matter, but the statistics don't lie, and stalls 1 to 4 do seem to be bogey stalls for this sort of race. Course form, again, 9 out of the past 12 winners had already run at Doncaster before, so again, course form's important here, and 4 of the 9 had already won at the course as well. Age. 8 out of the past 12 winners were aged 6 years or younger. So again, we're looking for younger horses here. And form at York. It's quite a surprising statistic this, but 8 out of the past 12 winners also ran at York the previous race or the last time out. And winning form as well. 8 out of the past 12 winners had won 5 times or more in their careers to date. So quite prolific winners at this distance, staying horses. And also group form. Look for group form and horses that have already won a group race in their careers. 7 of the past 12 winners had already won a group race. And jockeys. Johnny Murtagh's won this race twice. And he was riding for Aidan O'Brien at the time. You can see here that's backed up with the trainer stat that Aidan O'Brien has won the race twice. In fact, the Irish have won this 3 times in the past 10 years. So again, with staying horses, we'd expect the Irish to do well in this race. Let's have a look at the Doncaster Cup winners then. It was won last year by Time's Up from John Dunlop, ridden by Eddie Ahern. One of my favourite horses, Saddler's Rock, won it in 2011, John Ox's horse. We then had John Gosden win it in 2010 with Samuel. Again, William Buick was riding. We see William Buick come up time and time again, especially when we get to the St Ledger on the Saturday. And you can see here we had Aidan O'Brien. He trained the winner twice in 2007 and 2008. Both went off as favourites and both were ridden by Johnny Murtagh. In fact, we had a little run here of 3 favourites in a row winning. So again, it's not often that the favourite does win this race. However, you can see a trend. If it's quite a short price favourite, obviously there's going to be a lot of money come for it and it's got a very good chance of winning. Let's move on to the next race on the card, which is the Mayhill Stakes, and that's the final Group 2 on the Friday. And that's for 2-year-old fillies. It's a 1-mile race for 2-year-old fillies. And it really is a lead-in to the Newmarket Fillies Mile at Newmarket. That's in the Cambridgeshire meeting. And this race seems to work as a very good lead into that race. It's been dominated by Godolphin over the past 3 years. So let's run through the trends over the past 11 years and have a look what you need to look at when you're drawing up your shortlist and narrowing the field down in the Mayhill. The first is 7 furlongs form. The horse must be a 7 furlong winner. 10 out of the past 11 winners had already won over 7 furlongs. And also last time out winner as well. 9 of the past 11 winners had won last time out in the previous race. Newmarket form. 8 out of the 11 runners had also run at Newmarket last time out. So you can see these two tied together. So we're looking for a winner at Newmarket as a strong signal to a horse that's going to do well here. And preferably over 7 furlongs or the mile. Draw. 4 of the 11 winners were drawn in stalls 1 or 2. And again, it's not a huge statistic, but again, these low stall numbers seem to have an advantage. Favourites. Again, 4 of the past 11 winners went off as favourite on the day. Jockeys. Again, Frankie Dettori's won this race twice, but we've also seen Jimmy Fortune coming in here. He's won this race twice as well. And trainers, John Gosden and Richard Hannon both focus on this race, and they've both run it twice over the last 11 years. So let's have a look here at the last 11 years winners. You can see here Certify won it last year for Godolphin, Lyric of Light for Godolphin and White Moonstone for Godolphin. So there's been a real run over the past 3 years. And before that, Godolphin hadn't won the race at all. So it just seems to be the last 3 years they've really started to dominate this race. Richard Hannon and John Gosden, Jeremy Nacida here, John Gosden, Richard Hannon again. As you can see, there's a real trend with the trainers that we look at in a lot of these races that we've put up over the last few days. All the same names are coming up all the time. And our old friend James Given here, he won with Summitville back in 2002, ridden by Mickey Fenton. Alright, so let's just review a summary of the Friday of Doncaster Cup Day. The Flying Childers were looking for a horse who's raced within the last 4 weeks, is drawn in stall 7 or lower, has already won a group or listed sprint and is near the top of the market. In the Doncaster Cup, we clearly need a horse with stamina and has to be a proven stayer, so it must have won a race at 1 mile 6 or more. and wants to be drawn in stall 4 or higher, has form at Doncaster and is 6-year-old or less, and has run at York on its previous run, winning at least 5 times in its career so far. And finally, the Mayhill. We're looking for a filly who's already won over 7 furlongs. She won on a last outing, and that was preferably at Newmarket. She has a low draw and is near the top of the market. Again, look out for Godolphin, who've won this race 3 years in a row. Okay, so hopefully that's given you plenty to think about for the Friday for Doncaster Cup Day. Enjoy the day. Don't forget to go to doncasterracecourse.tips.co.uk on the day. We'll have our today's race analysis where we analyse all 7 races of the day on the Friday of the St Ledger meeting. And we'll also have our short list of horses that we feel stand the best chances in these races. Okay, so hopefully that's been useful for you, and we'll talk again tomorrow when we look at the final day of the St Ledger Festival, and that's the St Ledger itself, the St Ledger Day itself. Okay, I'll talk to you then. Take care. Bye now.